have been joined by Mr. Ashishkumar Chauhan, MD and CEO of Bombay Stock Exchange. Sir, first of all, let us know about the Star Mutual Fund app you have recently launched and how it will benefit the investors against its competitors.
Today, basically, the mutual fund distribution is a very manual activity. People fill forms, it goes to with the checks to the registrars, and a lot of data entry happens, a lot of delays happen. And so, today, if you invest, you may get your units after probably a week or so. And that's where BSE launched a framework called Star MF almost 10 years back in 2009. And today it has become the largest distribution framework of mutual funds. We have 24,000 IFAs, that is independent financial advisors, the agents of mutual funds who have joined BSE Star MF platform directly. But if you take the IFAs behind the larger aggregators, we have close to 200,000 IFAs who work on BSE Star MF platform. We provide services for subscription or switches or even redemption for all the mutual funds in India. And because it has become so large that almost 20% of all the funds collected for mutual funds are now coming from BSE Star MF, and almost 40% of all new customers coming into mutual funds for last several years have been coming from BSE Star MF mutual funds. So we were primarily a web-centric framework. You had to be near to your computer, but many IFAs requested us to create a mobile-based application. Of course, there are software vendors which provide this kind of applications on BSE Star MF, but for that the IFAs had to pay subscription charges or software costs to those vendors, and there was a request to give it for free. So BSE later on worked on creating that platform and created a mobile-based application which works on different operating systems of the mutual fund. So today, if a IFA or an agent of mutual funds is traveling in a train and he or she gets a call to subscribe to a particular fund on behalf of a customer, she has to just, or he has to just take out the mobile phone and do the activity on BSE Star MF using the mobile application. And that basically gives them that much more flexibility, ability to connect to their customers and spend more time on the road rather than in front of the computer. So it basically unleashes their potential, allows them to increase their income going forward. Of course, once this application is made, we are also going to later stage allow even the individual investors to use the same application to look at their data, do the subscription or also redemption or switches, of course, along with the IFA also getting involved. And of course, if there is a direct plan, then that could be on a direct basis. But overall, we will continue to work through the IFAs. This is a way to help the IFAs to ensure and their customers to ensure that they are able to get more and more customers attracted to mutual funds.
We are seeing markets are under pressure recently, and investors are worried about their returns. So how do you see markets going ahead?
See, markets usually react much faster than what the real economy does, and sometimes they also tend to overcorrect compared to what is the situation. India has several international factors affecting it, several local factors affecting it. Last almost 2-3 months, there has been some sort of a policy stoppage, largely due to the election rules that you cannot be taking any policy actions during the election time. And so Indian government has not been taking any large decisions. Many state governments also have kept it pending to ensure that they don't fall foul of the election regulations. And so that has been some slowdown there. There is also issue relating to NBFCs, which have not done so well, and there is an overhang of that on even mutual funds because of the FMPs and other places. But in terms of the growth, all IMF, World Bank, ADB have been estimating India's growth for 2019-20 between 7 and 7.5%. And so in addition to what Indian experts have been saying, even the international experts who have different ways to measure and different statistics based on which they measure India's growth, everyone has basically a very good hope. But the base case is not 7.5, probably 6.5. But the good case could be even larger if the new government is able to attract more infrastructure investments, more companies from China, which is now currently on a bad wicket with US with larger tariffs coming into force. There are many companies wanting to come out of China. If India is able to attract them, especially the new government, and coastal zones on SEZ basis, then without too much of bureaucratic hurdles or too many labor laws and other things being applied, they may be able to create many more jobs for India, and it may kickstart India's economy. So for me, there are many good positives which we may be able to take from what we consider today as headwinds. They could become tailwinds going forward. There is one large issue which is in the form of the oil prices. If they continue to move up, then India will have tough time, because the largest component of our trade deficit is basically the oil. And we have done a good job in creating alternative energy sources, but still our dependence on oil is still very large, and in some ways the oil will in future determine India's ability to grow fast or not. But otherwise, India is looking really poised because of the cleaning up of the balance sheets of banks, getting many newer things like GST, like Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile, bankruptcy code, auctioning of natural resources, and so many administrative reforms have come into place, which are very deep. And next 5 years, I think we'll have to work harder to ensure that the corruption, even at state level, and the other machineries come down drastically, and India becomes easy place to do business for not only foreigners, but also for Indians.
So, talking about the NBFC crisis and all, as you said, so it has impacted the returns of the mutual fund as well. So, what is your assessment on that?
The overall framework, overall amount involved in NBFCs are much smaller than what was in, say, 2015-16 estimated for the banking system. And very painstakingly, the RBI and the government have gone ahead and taken a lot of provisions in their balance sheets, in the bank's balance sheets over last so many years continuously. And that's where a lot of cleaning up in the banking system has happened. The amount involved in NBFC are much smaller, and I'm sure these are the issues which the new government will have to resolve in a very deft way, having some softer approach but also tougher approach with a variety of participants. But overall, I think Indian financial system is getting cleaned up in a very nice way going forward.
What will be your advice to the investors going ahead?
India is going to grow very rapidly. If you take a look at the growth of India over 1979 to 2019, 40 years, the Sensex went from 100 in 1979, 1st of April, to almost now 38,000, 39,000 without dividends. If you take dividends, it would be probably close to 56, 57,000. And so almost 380 times returns over last 40 years. And if you take the dividends, then it could be 570 times returns. And if India continues to grow similar 7.5% at least over next 40 years, then you can see that kind of returns going forward. And for me, there is no asset class in the world which gives better returns than Indian equities market. But you need to be patient. Many people, due to the advent of social media, television, newspapers, SMS and WhatsApp, have come to the conclusion that buying in the morning and selling in the afternoon is considered long-term investment. It is clearly not a long-term investment. You need to invest for several years before you can expect a sort of meaningful increase in your wealth. And I would urge every investor to be an investor and not a trader going forward.
Thank you very much, sir, for talking to Ticker News.